Happy Yoga Zarkin home yoga session. And today's practice is one of my favorites, restorative yoga. And restorative yoga is really, sometimes it gets confused with yin. It is very different from yin. The poses sometimes appear to be similar, but the difference with yin yoga is we do a lot of connective tissue opening. So we don't want to use props for comfort so much. We use props to help it not be painful in yin, right? But it's still really deep in the connective tissue. In restorative yoga, we want to use props to create like nests in every pose. We're very relaxed, we're very comfortable, and we might feel a little bit of stretch, but it's important to strengthen our nervous system. And that's what we'll be doing today in our practice. And of course, because it is a movement practice, even though it's not a lot, I need to read to you that Yoga's Arc wants you to put your health first. Yoga is an activity that requires physical exertion. This one it does not, but you will be moving. Please ensure you are in the proper shape to do yoga, and if you are unsure or have an existing medical condition, please consult your doctor or physician before beginning a yoga regimen. And thank you so much for that. If you notice, I don't use music. That way you have the option of using some relaxing music in the background that suits you. I do a lot of on-demand practicing, and sometimes the music drives me nuts because I just want quiet. So you have the option to have your own choice of music, and I do have playlists on Spotify along with a lot of our Yoga Zark instructors. Just let me know if you want that playlist. I think it's just my name. Or playlists, I should say. Here's our angel reading of the day. Again, it's the angel of human unity. It keeps coming up, and I think it's for a reason. You saw how many times I shuffled. I always learn valuable things from everyone I meet. To become aware of the human unity that we can create and of the loving support that we can give each other is the core of real sisterhood and brotherhood. As we lovingly begin to accept people and things as they are, we open a way for unity and harmony to be wonderfully synchronized, bringing the best situations for us and everyone around. Okay, so what's the hardest part about restorative is setting up and putting your props. The first thing I like to say is if you don't have a yoga bolster, please grab like some sturdy couch cushions. If you don't have yoga blocks, grab some rolled up beach towels or bath towels for the thickness and the sturdiness. If you don't have an eye pillow, get yourself a towel for over your eyes. I think I have one more little trick just in case. And I don't think we'll be using a strap, but if you don't have a yoga strap, you can always use a necktie or any kind of long, thin piece of cloth that would not be uncomfortable wrapping or tying around. And so the first one that we're going to start with is to kind of open us up, right? It's after a long day, so let's start with a reclined back bend. So I'm going to take my blocks, right? And you can use towels or you can use a couple couch cushions. What you want to do is have your bolster at an angle. So I stack my blocks at two different heights so it supports under me. And from here, I'm taking my blanket. This is how I prefer doing my restorative reclined butterfly. You can have your legs in all kinds of positions. You can have them extended out. You can have your knees bent, or you can take your blanket, roll it into a tube, and I'll be using it around my feet in a second. I'll get my timer. Now with restorative, I'll keep talking, I'll be back. Restorative, you can stay a lot longer than yin. If you haven't done the yin practice yet, yin is on average 3 to 7 minutes. For a shape, here you can hold 10, 20 minutes depending on how comfortable and relaxed you are. For today's practice, I will set the timer for 5 minutes for each shape. In restorative, we tend to only do about 5 poses in an hour class because we're holding them for so much longer. You do what works for you. And I want to show you a couple other things you want to consider. If you need more cushion under you, you can put a blanket down on your mat if you feel like you need to. Most important thing is you want your tailbone right up against your bolster or pillows. If you feel like there's a gap and it's almost like arching your back, I always say take a blanket or towel to fill in the gaps to make it more comfortable. So you could take a blanket and kind of where the edge is, and you can just fill in that gap if that's more comfortable, right? To make it like kind of at an angle, okay? If that works better. Now I like to take my legs in this butterfly shape. I need my glasses closed for my timer. 5 minutes. So I take this blanket that's rolled and I take my feet like a book and I place them up. My soles of my feet are towards each other but open a little bit, and I roll the blanket around like a donut. It almost looks like the shape of an airplane pillow, horseshoe. The edges come around the outsides of my calves. So I have the support. I'm nice and comfortable. The other thing that you can do is put blocks or towels underneath your outer thighs. Now, one thing I like about this blanket right here is it gives me a little shelf for my elbows so that I'm not straining my shoulders to get my arms to the floor. So if you feel like your arms are too low and it's pulling your shoulders down, you can take towels or a blanket underneath your forearms. And now, all we do is relax as much as you can. I have my eye pillow. We cover, unless it doesn't bother you, with really relaxed breathing, and we drop into our meditation mode where we really work on practicing not thinking. And then restorative, I definitely recommend silence or relaxing music without words. Let your jaw relax. Allow your breath to just be. Allow it to be effortless. Keep coming back to your breath when your mind starts to think about the random thoughts that come. Allow your mind and your body to completely rest. Take a few more breaths here. Carefully remove your eye cover to start. Use your hands to your outer thighs and use them to press your knees up so your muscles don't have to engage so much. Walk your feet wide. You can keep your feet on the edges of your blanket if you want, and let your knees rest towards one another. Restoring practice is very quiet and very calming. When you feel ready, roll to your side, so you can roll to your right side, carefully off your blankets or bolsters or whatever you're propped up on. Come down to the side body. Oh, this is why instructors should not do while we teach. Push on up. And moving on to our restorative spinal twists, which I love, love, love. The reason why I love them is they're just very different than your traditional twist on your back. They're done from this position. So I like to just have a little bit of an angle. So if you're at home, if you had a higher angle, maybe what you do is drop it so it's just a rolled up towel if you don't have the block, or the block. And the further away, the smaller the angle, etc. Now for this particular shape, I do this, and then I put a folded up blanket across. Sometimes you might need an extra like towel or just a little bit more under the head. And if that's the case, you could take another blanket just to the top. I told you the hardest part of this is the setup. So I have this prop up at this angle. Now the instructions are the important part here. And then once you get into it, it's easy, right? As I've kind of showed. We don't need our eye pillow for this one. We take our outer right hip right up against the side of the bolster, okay? So I'm right up against it with the outer hip. My legs are kind of like a staggered, almost like a Z shape, okay? I lengthen my torso, turn the belly button and chest towards your bolster setup here, your pillows, etc. And as I turn, I start to walk my way down. And I highly encourage you to turn your head the direction of your knees. The opposite is a deep rotation. That's more yin stuff. This is restoring, so we want to relax. So I lengthen my torso, my chest is straight down, and I turn and let my arms relax down. Now for me, I don't like the blanket. It feels much better to be down flat. So that's your personal preference, and of course it's your shoulders and the style of your body. I have my timer on. And we take 5 minutes. If you want to spend longer in poses, just set your timer and press pause in between. And let wherever you feel tension. For me right now, I feel it in my right inner groin a little bit, my entire lower back, my left outer hip a little bit. So I'm using my soothing breath energy, kind of focusing it to those areas. So I'm helping bring some calmness to the areas of my body that feel tight. Relaxing your jaw, your mind. And then let your body restore. This is the type of practice where if someone random walked by, they'd be like, oh my gosh, they're not doing anything. Well, we know that strengthening our nervous system is definitely needed with all the high cortisol levels today, all the stress. In this practice, it's hard sometimes to completely surrender and let go, knowing there's no trying. The practice does us versus us do the practice. The props support us. Few more breaths here. Quietly and carefully rolling your way up, using your hands, sliding them closer to you. Roll your shoulders back and just rolling your spine up. Super, super slow. In yin, we do some movements in between the transitions because our connective tissue is like under so much strain in between. Here, not so much, but if you feel like you need some movements in between, you're more than welcome. We gotta switch sides now. I won't be facing you for this one as much, but this is a very inward practice. Hopefully you don't need to see, you just need to be. How about that for a quote? So we do the same thing, we just switch. You can roll over however you want to transition your legs to the other side. So you're butting your left hip right up against one hand on each side. Turn your torso towards, but remember you're turning the direction opposite or the same as your knees, not the opposite. So I lengthen and I turn. Enjoy your rest, everybody. Relax. Make sure to breathe. Relax your mind. Timer is set. few more breaths here. Use your hands to press yourself up carefully, slowly. You should be feeling pretty relaxed by now. Next one will be a, excuse me, a forward fold before we come all the way down. And I want to show you a few things that you can do to make this pose restorative. First thing is, if you want your legs extended straight and your hamstrings allow you to do so, you can take your bolster on top of you, right? On top of your lap to fold over. So what I like to do is I like to take a blanket and sit up a little bit on the blanket. The other thing you can do is you can have the bolster under the knees, right? Depends if you want your legs straight or not. You know, I think I'll do it like this today. And I like the blanket under for a little bit of cushion. And then from here, I use the blocks, which you could stack anything thick that you have at your house, like the towels that you have wrapped. You could use some books, Tupperware, get creative, and then a towel over. I have the bolster, whether it's on my legs or under my legs, where it's perfect for my distance in my fold to let my forearms come down. For those of you that don't fold and you're way up here, you might need something to take your arms up higher and more here. You might need to come higher and stack more blocks. For me, this is a little too high. Wherever you are, your neck is supported, your arms are supported, your back is supported. Very different than yin, where we're just folding. And our timer. There's a middle. I'm going to take mine in the middle. Oh, perfect. I even feel like I need a little more support. Come a little higher. So I'm bringing a blanket. So. Now if you're in a position where your heels lift off, then you need to put support under your heels. Mine just about touch. Yeah, this is better. Actually, I do need something under my heels. I'm going to be a good role model. My legs are lifted, so I'm coming back over here. Getting one more blanket. Folding. And that's perfect for my heels. I told you the hardest part about this practice is setting up, for sure. But once you get there, it's so good for your body. I'm resetting the timer in case any of you had to get more stuff. Much more relaxed. It's okay to continue to adjust if you notice. I have, probably not because you're in your pose, but sometimes it takes a little bit of adjusting at the beginning to find the exact position to be in. Continue to quiet your mind when you notice it thinking. And what you're going to notice is sometimes if you propped up, your spine melts and you need to go lower, which I just did with my block. Last few breaths here. Roll your spine up carefully. Press with your hands to help you. Walk your hands somewhere behind you to open your spine the opposite direction. Just hang out here for a moment. We'll be leading right into our Shavasana. I'm going to show you how you can make this. It's very similar to where we are at. How you can make this a restorative Shavasana. The same thing for your lower body. So you have your, it's kind of like for Yoga Nidra, right? Nidra. So you have your heels here. You have the micro bend in your knees here. And what I would do is take a blanket and just unfold it so it covers your whole back and your head. Depending if you've got long days, take as much time as you can in your final resting Shavasana. It's so good for us. If you get chilly easily, feel free to get yourself blanket for over you. Like I said, the hardest part about restorative is the propping. And when you come down, you can put your eye pillow on, allow your arms to rest by your sides. If you feel like you do want more support for your head, you can take a blanket, kind of like we did for the feet at the beginning, and you can cup it like an airplane pillow for your head. So you kind of like make the shape. And you wrap it. Oh, that's nice. And you wrap it around the head. Gives you more support there, the eye pillow. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to fly like this? And your Shavasana, taking as much time as you need here. And thank you again so much for tuning in to our Yoga's Art in home while social distancing ourselves. And I appreciate you all. Also, you can follow us, Facebook, Instagram. Take your rest. Keep resting. Namaste.